Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Talk with Koiya. I am Koiya, your host, and as you know, this podcast is brought to you by Talk, Test, Treat. If you are located in the Central Florida area, need to get tested for HIV, STIs, visit www.talktestcfl.com. Today, we have a very special guest. As you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and in honor of that, I have my girl, Tara Body, here to talk all about it. Hey, girl.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tara Body, host of God in Therapy and mental health therapist, and I'm here to talk with Koiya.
So listen, we start off every episode with the Talk with Koiya card game. I'm sure you saw this on social media. So I'm going to ask you to pull a card, read the card aloud, and then answer it as well.
Do you ask the status of every sexual partner before becoming intimate? Now, you
Well, for you, it would have been, did you?
Right, because I have been married for like 17 years to the same guy I met at 16.
Oh, I didn't know you met him at 16.
I met my husband at 16. We've been together a total of 24 years. So
Congrats.
I didn't ask him his status, though. I can tell you that much. When I was young, because I didn't wait, but no, I didn't ask. It wasn't a thing, Now, I asked how many partners he had, because I'm a virgin and, I was a virgin at the time. And he was like, I worked in the health clinic at the college that I was in. And so I don't do all that. So he was very adamant about those things because he worked in a clinic and everybody had to come to him for the pills and the tests and the things when he was in college. He said, so it kind of turned him off.
That's awesome because most men aren't the ones that are taking ownership of their sexual health.
Oh, no.
Oftentimes it's like, oh, will my girl get tested? Or so to have a man like that?
That was his work study in college was to work in the clinic. So he said after seeing all the beautiful people that would come in there with stuff going on, he just kind of got turned off from just being out there like that. So I kind of looked up.
No, you did.
I kind of looked up, and I think that was one of his appeals towards me is you ain't been with nobody. Hey, let's kind of walk together in this life, because he was very, very afraid of that. I'm just being honest. That was his story.
Wow, I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, let's do one more.
We're going to do one more? Yeah, I'm not good with that question. I'm sorry. All right. Is empower others to take control of their sexual health important to you? Absolutely. Empowering others to take control of their sexual health is very important to me. It is your temple. Your body is your temple. You ain't got but one. If you don't take care of your sexual health, that's like a doorway to diseases, sicknesses, infections, all the things. And even if you don't pass away, because I've known people that had HIV or AIDS that lived, but they lived a very different lifestyle because of it. They did, because they had to take all the medications for the rest of their life. They had to go get the multiple tests. They had to keep explaining to people that they were in relationships with what's going on with them. So it greatly impacted their lives. So I really talk to a lot of my clients as a therapist about, please cover this. If you ain't covering nothing else, this temple is the only way you get to stay here. So this is important. This is super important. So, yes, I talk about sexual health with my clients. I try to empower anybody I can talk to. I got 3 daughters. I talk to them. So that is it's important.
I really feel like this is going to be an impactful episode. So are you ready to start?
I'm ready.
I remember meeting you when we did our women's conference.
Right.
As you guys know, I am the Talk, Test, Treat brand ambassador. And Tara actually spoke on our panel for the women's conference back in March of 2023.
Right.
So that was our first encounter. And I remember I was like, this lady, the way she speaks with such conviction and knowledge, and then the Christian element to it, because there are tons of therapists out there. Not all of them tie in the Christian element, but I love that you did that. And that was like the focal point of your whole business, I would say, and who
Yeah.
you are, the presence of who you are. So you were magnetic then to me, and I was like, I gotta get this girl on my podcast. Like, she is just amazing. So for those who do not know, tell us who Tara Body is. Tell us about your business. Just give us the rundown.
Well, like you said, I am a mental health therapist, but I am specifically a Christian mental health therapist, and that's important to state because everything that I do, the core of my therapy practice is biblical principles. Yes, I'm licensed with the state, all the things. I went to all the schools and all the degrees, but God is the greatest counselor. And I believe that he has addressed every issue we could ever deal with. And I love being able to give people that affirmation that God is okay with you setting boundaries. God is okay with your self-care. God is okay with you handling people with a healthy way of communication and conflict resolution. He's all into human dynamics. And so it is the easiest work for me to do because I don't have to come up with anything. You know, I take my clients through the word of God, and I love this explosion of Christians and people of faith who are coming into therapy since the pandemic. And God just got me right on in there right before the pandemic. And I was like, whoa, there is a niche for faith-based therapy. And so I started my podcast, last year, God in Therapy, to really start giving that out to the community, Christian mental health information. And so, yes, it has had an excellent return and a wonderful response from the community that said, yes, we need that information. Yes, we need that content. And of course, I'm an author. I've written a book on marital practices, Christian counseling techniques for marriages to help them have a healthy family, because marriages are the bedrock of the community. You start with the marriages that builds healthy children turn into healthy adults out here, and we're all getting along. So it's been amazing. It's a whirlwind. I'll tell you, this social media giant is huge. I was just a little therapist doing my thing, but now I realize there's such a broad audience. And so the personal stuff is, yes, I'm a wife and I have 3 daughters, 2 teenagers, pray for me, and an 11-year-old. But yeah, so all girls too.
Oh.
So all of that, I believe God has equipped me to really, really help a lot of people navigate these relationships because you could be really successful, but if your personal life is in shambles, you can wreck a lot of things. You can sabotage a lot. So that is my goal, is to help people be whole in their mind, their body, their spirit, their emotions, and it's a good work. And so I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me on your show.
You have a series that you're doing, and it's called the Healing Your Mind series. So I want to know more about this series, because when I first saw the name of it alone, it was intriguing. I was like, I want to know more about this.
Yeah, it's about that mind. A lot of people think that they have a healthy mind. They truly believe I'm walking around with a healthy mind. I said, well, okay, sit with me for a little bit. And when I start running their patterns, I said, oh, you're not even living your life according to your own authentic self. I said, you're just part 2 of your parents. Do you even see that? You're part 2. Because your parents put a lot of stuff in your head when you were little. You're just a little computer downloading everything you saw, everything you heard, all of that training. So when you get into a marriage, it's going to download, what did I see in a marriage? When you start having children, the download pops up of, what did I see my parents doing with me? You're not original. So many adults really believe that they're original. I'm like, you're not original. You are part 2 of somebody if you have not sat down and considered what your own authentic self is and your value system.
I can imagine something like getting an HIV diagnosis or even an STI diagnosis. You're going to have to do some healing of the mind with something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to take a toll on you. So how would you say that your mental health influences your sexual health?
Even in the way you handle your temple, let's just be clear. There are a lot of things that we need to do to protect our bodies, right? Just knowing that I need to protect my temple. If my temple is gone, if my body is off this earth, I'm gone. I can't participate in this earth without a body. So even in the way that I'm dealing with people, the people I let connect with me, the people that I give my body to, it should be so serious, the process they got to go through to get to me. because this is my temple. I don't get but one.
Right.
There's not a spare one.
Yes.
So even when I'm engaging with people, especially on a physical level, I need to like question why. Why do they get access to my temple?
And I think right there is where it's not even starting at, right? I think we live in a culture or a world where it is okay just to do the casual hookups, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
it's been promoted to do the one night stand.
Right.
Or you're an adult girl, do what you want to do. You know, and those are a lot of the things that we hear. And to your point, we don't go or come from a perspective of my body is a temple.
Right.
I'm only giving this to certain people, you know?
Right. And if you don't look at it that way, then what you just did was make yourself subjective to these illnesses and diseases. You kind of, and I don't want to make anybody feel any type of way, because like I said, our value system come from our family. It comes from our culture. It comes from what we see. So when you see everybody in society is saying, it's just sex. It's just sex. Like, it's just a hookup. Do what you want to do. What was that song? It's your thing. Do what you want to do.
Right.
Like, that is a real mindset in our society, is that just give it away. And so we have so many people, unfortunately, who get caught up in situations because no one talked to them about the value of their temple. No one sat down and said that. I even talk about the sex talk that I had, my mother had with us. It wasn't deep. It was don't get pregnant. That was it.
Not don't get STDs.
Don't get STDs. Don't give your temple away. Don't connect with these guys because it's going to mess with you emotionally and mentally when you get the rejection after you've given somebody your body. None of that. It was, don't bring no babies up in my house. And I'm like, check, I can do that.
Yeah,
that's it. So, that makes me that made me and my siblings like very vulnerable to anybody. And I just thank God that I did not like really have to deal with the consequences of that, because I wasn't perfect. I was out here because I didn't get any knowledge on that.
Yeah.
And sadly, a lot of us are using sex as a pacifier. This is why I tell everybody, please go see a therapist so you can make sure that you are whole and healed, because when you're whole and healed, I don't need to have sex with everybody. I don't. Sex is actually a pacifier for many people. I don't feel loved. I don't feel like anybody's caring for me. I don't feel like I'm of high value. But when this person want to have sex with me, ooh, yeah. See, I'm desirable. I'm wanted. I'm attractive. I'm valuable because this person want to have sex with me. This person is attracted to me. Ooh, look, I was able to get this person's man or this person's woman because I'm all that. No, they just had sex with you. Let's keep it 100.
Yeah.
Like, they saw that you were vulnerable. They saw you were insecure. Because people always say confidence attracts people. Insecurity attracts people too. Insecurity attracts manipulators. Insecurity attracts people that are going to use you and abuse you. If you don't know your value, you're about to attract a whole bunch of jokers that's going to use you.
Yes.
And they're going to take your body because they see, oh, they need affirmation.
Yeah.
Oh, they a people pleaser. Oh, they need me to tell them they're cute. I tell you you're cute, and now I'm going to take from you.
Yeah. And they aren't even realizing too, like, young girls are starting to see the empowerment in, oh, he wants my body. And it's like, I want you to have empowerment, but not in that way, you know?
Because it's not empowerment. You're giving away your body, and now you have put yourself at risk. Right. Like, you're at risk.
You have this thing, like, you're one of those people, I feel like, when you speak, people listen. But, like, when you start to speak, there's, like, this aura that just comes over you that's so captivating and, like, brings you in. But, yes, girl, I say that to say I'm going to give you 3 scenarios.
Okay.
And I want you to respond and do the thing that you do when you give great advice. Just respond and speak to these scenarios and give advice coming from your heart and what you would do, or the advice that you would give to this individual.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let's start with cultural and spiritual influences on your sexual health. Rebecca has been living with HIV for 3 years now. She wants to come out to her friends and family, but is afraid because of the stigma within the Black community associated with HIV. What advice would you give Rebecca?
The advice I would give Rebecca, first of all, is she has to be okay with her truth. Okay? The truth is she has the HIV or the AIDS. She has it. That's the truth. The truth is her life. That's her testimony. That's what she is currently dealing with. A lot of times we want to hide from people, but we don't give room or have faith that we will get compassion from people. I would tell her, be led by God as to who to share with, because everybody you cannot share. But at a point, she will be able to. As she builds her confidence, understands this is her story, this is her testimony, and her story and testimony is meant to save some folks. It's meant to set somebody else free. When we turn our testimony into a sword, into a battle cry, and we say, hey, who else is out here dealing with this? Let me help you. Let's support each other. We're still okay. You are still of value. That takes a lot. But she just needs to be led by who to tell initially so she can get that support. And once her support is built up and her confidence is built up, she'll be able to share it more.
I love that. Especially because, to your point of how you started it off, the immediate thought is always, oh, my life is over. It's the end. That's it. You know what I mean? And like you're saying, if you physically, your body is not here on earth, then what?
We're done.
And why aren't we protecting that if it's the only thing that's holding us here? That's a whole nother conversation. But
whole nother conversation.
As a therapist, I can imagine you carry some heavy things around often. I want to talk about sexual traumas for a bit. How would you describe sexual trauma?
Sexual trauma can be defined in a lot of ways because people assume that sexual trauma is just molestation or rape or something like that. But a lot of trauma comes from your very first sexual experiences or a sexual experience that you were not empowered in that moment. It was either something against your will, something that you did not agree with, something that you got involved in, and you realize I was doing something for someone else. I was trying to please somebody. You know, a lot of people, even young people that are looking for close connection, they get connected to somebody and then that person now tries to use them for sex. But because they love the connection, they will agree to something, right? It's not really what they wanted. They wanted the connection. So they, in agreement, allowed something or didn't speak up about something because I don't want to get this person in trouble and I want to stay connected to this person. You know, grown people do it too. You know, they had this friendship, they had this connection. All of a sudden, this person wanted something else and they allowed it because I want to keep the connection. But you lied to yourself. You harmed yourself because all of you did not want to give that up. All of you did not want to get involved in that. But you wanted the person. You wanted the connection. There was something good about this person, maybe. And so, because everybody thinks rapes are the only trauma, we know those are. But I want to deal with the ones that people don't really realize. That's why you struggle now in connection with people in intimacy. Because there was a time in your life you were vulnerable. You wanted to just love somebody, but they took that from you.
Stop right there because I want to ask you this. So Susan has been living with her sexual traumas for years. She started realizing that it's playing a huge role in how she views sex in her current relationship. If you were her therapist, what advice would you give Susan?
So obviously we will work on that. That would be, the point of all our sessions is first, I want people to really understand when the enemy's trying to steal something from you, he does it early in your childhood. That's one of his strategies. He plants a seed early in your childhood so that you will not get the fullness of a gift God has for you later on. So if he put a sexual trauma in your childhood, he's trying to mess with your marriages.
Wow.
Because sex is a huge part of marriage. It is how the two become one. If you're not having sex with your partner, I tell everybody, if you're not having sex, y'all not connected. There are people, I have clients who have not had sex with their husband or wife in like 2 years. I know the single people are so irritated when they hear that. They're like, what? Hold on.
Girl, what?
What are you talking about? Ain't that what y'all get to do that we don't get to do? No, I know married couples, healthy. That because somebody's dealing with a sexual issue or ism or trauma, they cannot connect with their spouse. And then the spouse kind of get used to it or they start doing pornography or other stuff on the side. And the two agree. They're like, oh, I know my spouse has a porn thing, but that's fine because I don't really want to. What are you talking about? What is this? Y'all, no.
Wow.
It's a weed. Pull it up, get rid of it, and plant a new garden where sex is beautiful, that you can get a new mindset about it being positive, because it is. It is. Sex is mentioned a lot in the Bible. I want y'all to know God loves when we come together. He does. He does.
Right.
Yeah, he loves when we
how
come
we
together.
procreate too.
He's trying to get people in the earth. Hello, somebody.
Yeah.
So I hope that we don't allow that to be stolen.
Self-compassion is something that's hard to practice, like a regular human being day to day that does not live with any added anything. But I can imagine getting a HIV diagnosis or an STI diagnosis. It is hard to practice self-compassion after obtaining something like that. So can you give us some tactics for people who are possibly just getting a diagnosis or has been living with their diagnosis? What are some good tools and tactics to help practice self-compassion?
Self-compassion, or where I like to say grace for yourself, comes from understanding, first of all, that we are human, right? If I'm human, then I'm flawed. If I'm human, I make mistakes. If I'm human, I'm going to be subject to the cares of this world, the issues of this world, right? The world is not perfect. It's full of disease. It's full of trauma. It's full of hurtful people, hurtful things. People hurt us. We hurt them back. So when a consequence or a issue shows up in our life, please lead with grace for yourself. Don't do the self-defeating, I shouldn't have did this. You are operating with the set of knowledge that you know at the time. Okay, all of us are operating today based on the knowledge we currently have. So when something happens in my life that I did not expect and is negative, it is because I did not have knowledge at the time. And I have to give myself grace and say, you didn't know. People try to say, I want to turn back the hands of time and I would do this differently. If you had a time machine and you went back, you do the same thing. Because you had the same knowledge back then. The only reason you have new knowledge is because of what occurred. I tell my clients, regret is a pointless emotion. Regret says I didn't learn anything. There's nothing I got out of this. And so we live with that for a long time. I wish I could turn back. No, you got knowledge from that. You got wisdom from that. You now know how to care for yourself, how to carry yourself. You know things you can tell other people. When you get diagnoses or things that come in your life that you don't want, you don't like, first of all, we all dealing with that. Nobody's perfect. You have to give yourself grace and say, of all the things that's happened in this life, I have been trying to survive based upon the story I was given, the raising I was given, the parents I was given.
Yeah.
You don't choose those things. You don't. You don't even choose the skill sets you have, the wisdom you come in here with, the intelligence you come with. A lot of this is chosen by God. So I tell people, believe that he knows your story. He even knows the stuff that would happen to you. He knows you would have got that diagnosis. He knows. And still has a plan for you. And still saying, you want to come to me so I can fit all these puzzle pieces together? God does not even hold things to us. Sometimes we hold ourselves to such a lack of compassion and conviction where God is saying, hey, I know how you got there. I know your whole story. Baby, if don't nobody know your story, I do. I know what you weren't taught. I know what you lack. I know why you even doing the stuff you was doing. He said, I'm not even looking at you the way everybody looking at you. He said, I know why you were doing that. So come, I have grace for you. Do you want to know what I want to do with you next? I have a chapter turner for that. This is called the chapter of diagnosis.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to the next chapter of healing, of ministry, of testimony, of helping others outside of your tragedy? I have another chapter if you want to turn. But some people sit in diagnosis chapter and give that like 100 pages when it should have only been like 5 pages. I got the diagnosis. Get at 5 pages about how you felt about it, the emotions that came out of it, your reflection. Now turn it to, now what you going to do? You got to give yourself grace.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't care what it is that happens in your life. Start with, What did I not know that led me to this place? And now what do I know now? What do I know now?
You are really good at what you do. I truly want you to know that. Like, I'm telling you, you have
Thank
this
you.
aura that comes over you that just lets me know that God literally placed you to do what you're doing because
Yes.
it is magical. So what is next
Thank
for
you.
you? I know you got all this newfound fame on Instagram. What are you planning to do next? How can the people know more about your podcast? How can they subscribe to your channels? Let us know all of that.
So I'm on YouTube, but I'm on all the major, Apple, Spotify, all the platforms. So you just put in Tara Body. You'll find me, because that is the question: is where can I get the whole thing to this clip? All the whole videos to the reels and the clips that you see are on YouTube. I give out 10 episodes of every subject. Like, when you finish listening on the subject, I want you to be fully equipped to say, okay, I know all the things about parenting. I know all the things about marriage, all the things about friendship, because I'm just giving it out. It's free content. Take advantage of that. But I am currently working on a book that should be done by, the end of this month or early next month on parenting, because a lot of questions came out about that. Like, how do I really prepare my child for this world? Like, the whole train them up. Can you break that down, Tara, so that I make sure I'm producing whole children out here, and it helps those deal with the trauma of the things that did not happen for them and how to give that stuff to them. Like, if your parents didn't give you something, you don't just go throughout this life not having it. Go get it. You don't have proper communication and conflict resolution skills, and it's jacking up your relationships. Go get the skills. Don't just keep jacking up relationships and changing people. That's weird. Change your skill set. So I have that book coming out. Right now, I'm going to be honest with you, Koiya, I'm chilling. Like, if I I got a lot on my plate. I have a nonprofit organization with young teen girls, because I'm going, like I said, to warn some people.
Yes.
I have, my family. That's super important to me. The speaking engagements I've been invited to are just off the chain, but I love it because it's giving me more influence to spread this word. So I don't particularly in myself have a thing. I know that sounds weird, but I don't have a goal necessarily that I'm working on. I live my life daily saying, God, what do you need me to do? Like, that is an ever present, like, daily thing. What you want me to do today? Anything else? Or are we just going to keep flowing with what I'm already going through? So I live a very content life because of that. I ask for daily bread. Today, God, what am I doing? Who you want me to talk to? I'm going to talk to Koiya. Okay, I'm going to go do that. All right. And then what else you need me to do? Nothing. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to my house.
Lay around.
And I'm going to lay around unless you have somebody else you need me to talk to, something else you need me to do. So I always feel complete daily. I don't ever feel like, oh, it's something else to do until he tells me, now I need you to start this. Now I need you to do that. I rest until then.
Yes.
I don't think people really truly understand God is a God of rest. He didn't plan on us working super hard. He doesn't want us being busybodies. He doesn't need us to be consistently doing something 24 hours a day. He actually created man to have a whole lot of rest and a whole lot of peace and to spend a lot of time with him. It's when we walk in disobedience, we have to now get busy because we have to be fixing our lives. We have to be surviving. We have to be doing everything for ourselves. But when you chill in the Lord, he gives you what to do. And when you do that, he favors you.
Amen.
And he takes care of everything in your life. He really wants you rested. He's like, I don't have anything else for you to do today. Enjoy yourself. Mm-hmm. I am fully enjoying myself. And it took some years for me to understand God wants me to be restful and available. He does not need me to be busy. And one act of obedience can change your life. Starting the podcast, honey, it was one thing. I said, yeah, I'll do that. And it's brought all of the things. So I said, okay, well, yeah, let me just be looking for the one thing instead of out here hustling. I am not a hustler. I'm not.
I used to be, but not no more.
No, ma'am, because you'll be tired.
For what, though?
For what?
That's what I had to realize. For what?
Because we were taught to hustle.
Yes.
The previous generation, let's be honest, economic booms, the 80s, the accumulation of wealth, especially in the Black community, where we couldn't get a lot of stuff. Access was denied to us.
Correct.
Our parents, like, the doors are open. Go get everything. So you had the latchkey kids because their parents was working. Mm-hmm. They were not connecting with their children. And so we were taught to hustle like that. Get the money, get the bag, get the power, No. I'm talking to all my millennials and Gen Z. I hope you learn from your parents.
Yeah.
Don't chase the bag. Don't chase the stuff. You can't take none of that stuff with you. You can't take anything with you. And it's your legacy, what you have spoken to people, what you have taught people, the things you have learned and you have poured it back out. That's what stays in the earth. That's what you get credit for in eternity. You don't get credit for the accumulation of stuff. Is did you go down there and give the information I placed in you to the people I told you to give it to? If you did that, you're going to get an A.
Yeah.
That's it. He's like, did you do what I put you down there to do? Yes, sir. I told people all the stuff you told me to tell them. I impacted the lives you told me to impact. I was treating people good, the best that I could. I responded well. And he said, good job. Well done, my good and faithful servant. And so that's a long way of me telling you I'm going home and take a nap.
Well, I love it. I hope you enjoy your nap. And I want to say thank you so much for coming to talk with Koiya. And I would love to return the favor and be on your podcast as well.
Yes.
Hopefully we can make that happen.
We will. We will.
Thank you, Tara.
Thanks, Koiya.